Picture this, if you will. A blue speed form for an Ultraman. Clearly nothing can go wrong, could it? Well, you're wrong. I present to you Ultraman Geed Acro Smasher, which, in my honest opinion, is a very bad speed form in terms of design. I have asked this question on Reddit and Facebook, but before we get into the comments, I want to point out what Geed Acro Smasher is and my personal opinion. Now, before anything, I want you to like this video if you can, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video if you find it interesting. Without further ado, let's go. What is Geed Acro Smasher? Well, it's a fusion form of Ultraman Geed that utilizes Ultraman Hikari and Ultraman Cosmos, and that's where the problems start with this form. Now, in terms of abilities, it's a good form. You have a weapon, you have healing factors, you have super speed, and that's great and all. For a speed form, you of course need to have speed. What starts is the design aspect of Ultraman Geed Acro Smasher itself. Now I want you to look at this form right now on the screen. Now, if this is appealing to you, more power to you. But 90% of people who saw this will not put this at the top of their list. And here's a few reasons why. Now, in my personal opinion, when I look at this form, I don't think of Ultraman Cosmos. Now, if you told me this form had Ultraman Cosmos without me watching Geed, I would not believe you, because there is not a single Cosmos aspect in Ultraman Geed Acro Smasher's form. Now, there is a bit of Ultraman Hikari, albeit with the ears. What I'm trying to say is, for a fusion that has both Hikari and Cosmos in it, you would barely know these two were made into this fusion, aside from it being blue. And that's the main problem with this form. It's just blue. You look at it, you just think it's blue. You won't even think of the fusion components if you never watched Geed. Now, I personally think that Acro Smasher is just a bad form because, one, you don't see Cosmos elements like I said before, because you look at Cosmos Luna form and you look at it, compare it with Acro Smasher. Aside from the blue, you wouldn't even know where the aspect was taken from Cosmos. Just standing there, you won't know this was made from Cosmos. When it's in action, sure, you can tell it's made from Cosmos because it has the Luna Beam, whatever the hell it's called, Smash Moon Healing, I believe. And if it's in motion, yeah, you can tell it was made from Cosmos. But just standing there, you won't even know. The same goes for Hikari. If you ignore the ears, you won't see anything from Hikari. And that's my issue with Geed Acro Smasher. From day one, I was never a fan of Geed's eyes. Granted, nowadays when I see Primitive, I like it because I do have the toy of it. But for other forms, it really didn't work for me. It's very apparent in Geed Acro Smasher because the eyes are already blue, and you're adding blue to the head, and the crest isn't that long. It looks derpy. So to sum up my opinion, I don't think I love Acro Smasher. If I were to give it a Z rank, that would be the Z rank. And it's sad because the year before this, you look at Ultraman Orb Hurricane Slash. And in my opinion, that's a speed form well done because, one, it is blue, granted it's from Zero, and you can clearly see the Zero and Ultraman Jack elements in this form. Obvious, isn't it? Now you look at that compared to Acro Smasher, I would prefer Orb Hurricane Slash compared to Geed Acro Smasher. Now we've reached the segment where I read the comments on Reddit and Facebook towards the opinions of Ultraman Geed Acro Smasher. Now I will censor the names for confidential purposes, but here we go. It just feels random. We have Ultraman Belial, makes sense. Light and Darkness just like Geed. Leo and Seven, makes sense. Mentor and Student in the episode where Geed gets Zero as a tutor. Then Zero and Ken, makes sense, they're both rivals to Belial. Cosmos and Hikari feels so out of place, as it has no relation to Belial or Geed as characters. Symbolically, it feels so detached from the show, unlike the other forms. And that's pretty much true. When you take into consideration that Cosmos and Hikari have no relation to Belial, especially Cosmos, since he's never met Ultraman Belial, it does feel weird why he would be included. And Cosmos never actually met Ultraman Hikari, which also doubles down on the weirdness. I freaking hate it. His head crests are too small, making his jaw mouth look bigger than his forehead. His pattern design is not the worst I've seen, but certainly not the best. It's meh, and not that interesting. Acro Smasher is one of those that makes me question someone who likes this design stays. Yeah, a lot of people don't actually like Acro Smasher, and I've never seen anyone in the Ultraman fandom use Geed Acro Smasher as a profile picture. Now, to any of those who like Geed Acro Smasher, like 3 of you, I want to say your taste is your own opinion. Okay, if you like Geed Acro Smasher, more power to you. You're free to like what you want. Kind of a missed opportunity to utilize some of the gold in the design. And Hikari's shoulders armor too. Actually, it would have been neat if some aspect of Tsurugi was thrown into. I like the utilization of the abilities of both Cosmos and Hikari, and how this form is more pacifist in nature, but definitely my least favorite form of Geed. Acro Smasher is just blue Geed. There isn't much to say about this because Geed is bad in general. My biggest problem with Geed is that all of his suit designs are incoherent and plain ugly. There's nothing special about his gimmick either. It's the same as Orbs, but worse in every way possible. Perhaps if they redesign his eyes to be smaller and slightly more rounded, it would match the aesthetic of his forms better. As for the gimmick, they need better sounds and CG, and also change his entire transformation sequence to be less annoying. For that last few sentences, I'm gonna have to disagree about the CGI, but hey, the first parts, I totally agree with you. Looks weird and was not used enough or profound enough for me to grow attached. Now, that is something I totally agree, because most of Geed Acro Smasher's battles took place where the sky is mostly blue. So when you have a blue form with a blue background mostly, you're gonna ignore everything you see about this form. Looks like a goblin. Minimal inclusions of Cosmos plus Hikari ability, pretty underutilized in the series. If I can rank, I'd say this form is kinda low tier compared to the other blue speed form of other Ultra. Which ironically, I have done a ranking video for the blue forms. Geed is definitely something I do not want to see anymore. The body design is fine, but the head though, it looks oddly disturbing to me. The Hikari's ear design doesn't fit well with Geed's mean looking eyes. That's why many fans didn't like the form that much. Proto-Trigia. Geed's eyes didn't really work here for me. I also want to point out, I've read a comment before this, I don't know if I can find it, but someone pointed out that if you squint and you look at Geed Acro Smasher, it kind of looks like he's wearing one of those schoolgirl swimsuits with that swimming cap on. And I'm sorry for those who can't unsee that right now, but if I can't unsee it, you as well might join me, because I myself can't unsee this fact. So what can you take from this long video I've made? Well, Geed Acro Smasher is a form that is pretty forgettable, and the fandom can totally agree that we can live without knowing it exists. But that's all from me. Stick around for more videos, I guess, in the future where I talk about random stuff about Ultraman, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.